Venerable Mahasangha, Venerable Bhikkhunis, and especially I would like to thanks to UTBSI for this auspicious assembly of Bhikkhunis. And as Venerable Sumangala just mentioned about the background of this assembly, we, Mahabodhi Society of India, wholeheartedly support to make it more fruitful, more successful. Please, I request our Indian Bhikkhunis, आप सबको ये आगे काम बढ़ाना होगा, क्योंकि आपने ही दुनिया को ये धर्म प्रचार किया. और I pay my homage to the Mahateri Mahaprajapati Gotami, founder of Bhikkhuni Sangha, and pay homage to Mahateri Sangamita, who wrote all the way from this India to Sri Lanka, then from Sri Lanka to China, Korea, and other countries. Now is going around the world. Please don't be discouraged. कम संख्या में आप लोग discouraged मत होइएगा. Don't be discouraged. We have limited or less audience for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Buddha just established his asana just with 5 monks, 5 arahants. Then within few days, it increased to 60. So आज 60 ना हम लोग सब मिलके 60 भिक्खुनियाँ है ना, कल हमको पता चला 60 they are already here. So 60 is the big numbers. So number doesn't matter. The matter, what does matter is the quality. We have here few Bhikkhunis, that few senior Bhikkhunis, especially I would like to mention Venerable Bhikkhuni Liễu, the first Theravadi Bhikkhuni in Vietnam. She established a very big monastery. I have fortunate to visit her monastery, and she is doing wonderful work. And I appreciate on behalf of Mahasangha for her wonderful and great contribution to the Theravadi Sangha in Vietnam and elsewhere. Now she has shifted to Houston. I hope she is going to do much better work from America to establish Bhikkhuni Sangha. Also, Venerable Bhikkhuni Dekhaduala, our Bhikkhuni, she is doing a wonderful job. I think one who recited Terigata to her disciple, she is trained there in that Kanduvala monastery. I have also been there because Bodhicitta, when she ordained Australia, when Bodhicitta ordained, she attained Sampada. So I visited the Kanduvala monastery. She's so simple, so humble, and she came here all the way to attend this. And Venerable Sumangala doing much work to arrange all these computer works and administrative other things and support this also. We appreciate for a great contribution. She is the first Theravadi Bhikkhuni in Malaysia established. She's just being established one monastery in Malaysia. I think after a few years, we will be fortunate to visit the monastery and training institute. In the same way, we have from Thailand representing the Vijayanand.
Then William
Dhamma
died.
Vijayanand. This is presenting on behalf of Mahateri Dhammananda. महातेरी धम्मानंद, you heard about, आप जानते हैं महातेरी धम्मानंद in Thailand. He was like fight all the time, continuously, last many years. When he was lecture, since he was professor, from that time he was a great pillar for the establishment, re-establishment of this Bhikkhuni Sasana once again. And such we had Tathaloka, Mahateri Tathaloka from America. He could attend in person to this, but they always with us. And also from India, we can find Bhikkhuni Dhammadina, and for working last few days to organize on behalf of Indian Bhikkhuni Sangha. She encouraged many volunteer Bhikkhunis here. You can see here, doing such a great work. And some other Bhikkhunis actually from Australia, Bodhicitta, Indonesia, Mahateri Santini also couldn't attend in person, but they all with us, all with this Bhikkhunis, and all with you from far. They're sending their blessings, their encouragement, inspiration. हम सबको उनका आशीष मिल रहा है, हम सबके लिए ये बहुत बड़ी है। ये पहला ऐसा इवेंट है यहाँ बोधगया में जो भिक्खुनी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, Mahabodhi Society not organized. We support. We always support you. It's organized by the Bhikkhunis alone. This I want to tell this message to the world, that Bhikkhunis not that less important than Bhikkhus. You know, we equal. You are sisters, Dhamma sisters. We are Dhamma brothers. So, if Dhamma brothers not support to the sisters, then who will support? So we are Kalyanamitra of you. You are Kalyanamitra of us. So we have to work together. अगर हम साथ काम नहीं करेंगे धर्म प्रचार के लिए, साथ साथ मिलकर काम नहीं करेंगे, इतने बुरे दुनिया है संसार, ये धर्म कैसे प्रचार कर सकते? हम लोग कुछ भिक्षु लोग, ये संभव नहीं। जो हम लोग से ज्यादा आप लोग कुछ कर सकते हैं, जो हम लोग, क्योंकि आपके अंदर जो करुणा है, मैत्री है, और जो अप्रोचिंग, वे ऑफ अप्रोचिंग, जो मदरली लविंग सेंस ऑफ दैट प्यार, मोहब्बत, करुणा आपके अंदर बहुत है। इसीलिए आप ज्यादा या हम लोग के साथ साथ आप आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। इसलिए आप लोग भिक्षु लोग से या महातेर से या और भी लोगों से, ऐसा नहीं है। जो आपके साथ सभी नहीं हो सकते, लेकिन कुछ जो लोग हैं आपके साथ, आपको अकेला नहीं छोड़, इसलिए आपको लेके आगे जाना हम लोग का बहुत बड़ा कर्तव्य मैं मानता हूँ। इसीलिए महाबोधि सोसाइटी शुरू से भिक्खुनी संघ के शुरू से कोई भी आगे नहीं आए भिक्खुनी संघ को हाथ देने। भिक्खुनी संघ मीटिंग करते रहा बहुत बहुत साल, जैसे भिक्खुनी महातेरी दम्मान, महातेरी ततालो और भी बहुत सारे लोग समय, लेकिन उनको ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं मिला, हाथ नहीं मिला आगे कदम बढ़ाने के लिए, to feel that we are with them. So जब उनको हम लोग का सपोर्ट मिलने लगा भिक्षु लोग का, actually they felt confidence उनके अंदर जो आत्मविश्वास आया, तभी आज ये भिक्खुनी संघ दिखाई दे रहा है हमारे सामने. Since 1996, I was present at very first Bhikkhuni ordination at Sadhana. In 1996, as a student, Bhikkhuni Dev Kusuma was the first, and other 12 ladies from Sri Lanka, Dasil Mata from Sri Lanka. They all the way came to Saranath in 1996 in December, I think early December. I remember it's very cold winter time. So we gathered at the Mulagandhuku, original Mulagandhuku Vihara, that, in the Isipatana. वहाँ पे हम लोग सब एकत्रित हुए हैं. बहुत सारे सीनियर भिक्खुस उसमें, many theras attended that first Bhikkhuni ordination at Isipatana, Saranath. So I was very fortunate to be there to witness this, that very historical occasion it was for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Not only Bhikkhuni Sangha, it's Buddha Sasana. It's a very historical moment for the Buddha Sasana. So since 1996, we continue with BSI, continue to support the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that you can work with us together in this Buddha Sasana. The 4 pillars is not 3 pillars. 3 pillars are very weak. Anytime we made the 4. 4 are like this table. If it remove one pillar, what will happen? So it's become not as strong. So 4 pillars are very important. Bhikkhu, Bhikkhunis, Upasaka and Upasaka. Very important. That is why, and Buddha never says we cannot re-establish once it disappears or decline. Even Buddha's Bhikkhu Sasana decline in India, आप जानते हैं. तो बुद्ध भिक्खु शासन, तो भिक्खु लोग भी बहुत पतन हो गया इंडिया में उस समय. After Samrat Ashok, that during that period, आप जानते हैं ना, 60,000 भिक्खु को चीवर उतार के, कपड़ा पहना के, व्हाइट ड्रेस पहना के सम्राट अशोक ने सबको निकाल दिया. दुखने की बात सम्राट. तो भिक्खु शासन का भी बहुत पतन हो गया. ऐसा नहीं है भिक्खुनी शासन खत्म हो गया, भिक्खु शासन भी ऐसे ही. Not only Bhikkhuni Sasana, even Bhikkhu Sasana was declined badly during the Samrat Ashoka. That is how the 60,000 monks were just disrobed forcefully and struck them from to purify before the third Buddhist council. तीसरे संगीति के पहले शासन शुद्धिकरण करना था. जब मोगली पुत्र से बनते से सम्राट अशोक ने पूछा how I can establish the Buddha Sasana, re-establish the Buddha Sasana, how to bring the purity of the Buddha Sasana. So to remove these kind of those people wearing the robes, doing such kind of akusala, removed so many, more than 60,000 monks. So brought the good monks and nuns, भिक्खुस and भिक्खुनी, जो सिलवान है, जो गुणवान है, जो करुणा मैत्री के साथ, उनको बना के फिर तीसरी संगीति किया. तब पूरा विश्व में बुद्ध के संदेश, जो बहुजन हिताय, जो बहुजन सुखाय, लोकानुकंपा, this message sent to the world by Indian Theras and Indian Theries together. इसलिए हमारा कर्तव्य है, this is we feel as Sri Lankan monks, we feel this is a great our duty, our service to establish Buddhism in this land, Buddha's land, to support whatever support That is how our founder, Anagarika Dharmapal, came to India. And his last message, Bhikkhuni, was that after establishment of the Mulaganukuti Vihara in 1931, he wrote, "I'm happy today, after 40 years of my great struggle to revive Buddhism in India. Today I'm happy. And I'm confident that one day in India, the children from Indian families will be ordained as monks and nuns. I dream of that day. So in 1931, मुझे ऐसा गर्व हो रहा है, फील हो रहा है, एक दिन भविष्य में भारत की लोग, बच्चे बच्चियां ये पीला वस्त्र धारण करेंगे और भारत में घर घर जाएंगे, देश देश में वापस जाएंगे, फिर भगवान बुद्ध के संदेश को लहराएंगे पूरा विश्व में फिर एक बार। यही हमारा संस्थापक धर्मपाल जी का स्वप्न है। तो आज हम लोग को ये एक विश्वास, कॉन्फिडेंस हो रहा है, इनके स्वप्न आज एक तरफ से धीरे धीरे सफलता हो रहा है, सच हो रहा है। इसीलिए आप सब मेहनत करिए, वर्क हार्ड। दिस वर्ल्ड नीड बुद्धा टुडे मोर देन 1000 years बिफोर। आज दुनिया को करुणा, मैत्री, compassion and wisdom is need more than 1000 years before. Today, suffering everywhere. We cannot read the newspaper. We cannot read the news. So many, every day we are listening bombing to the schools, to the children, innocent people worldwide and bloodshed. इस प्रकार की पूरा दुनिया को, तो ये शांति के बिना दुनिया को, बुद्ध के संदेश के बिना कभी दुनिया को शांति नहीं मिल सकती। भारत का पतन यही हुआ जब से बुद्ध को इस देश से, बुद्ध के संदेश को या भिक्षु को भारत से किसी भी तरह से भूलने के लिए कोशिश किया, तब से भारत का पतन हो गया। Bhikkhuni is not surprised why India declined. It is only because of one reason. During the King Ashoka, India was a great country. विश्व गुरु, भारत को विश्व गुरु मानते। Why? Because of Nalanda University, because of Vikramshila, because of Takshila. Many monks and laymen came around the world to India to learn, to gain wisdom, to become perfect person, to become a good leader, to become a spiritual person, to enrich the humanity. जब से नालंदा को जला दिया, विक्रमशिला खत्म किया, तक्षशिला खत्म किया, बहुत सारे हजारों संख्या के भिक्षुओं को कत्ल किया, भिक्षुनियों को कत्ल किया, सारे मोनास्ट्री को डिस्ट्रॉय किया, क्या बचा फिर भारत? खंडहर बच गया। जो मैसेज डिसअपियर, अधर्म फिर से जन्म हो गया वापस, अंधविश्वास, ब्लाइंड फेथ took place instead of the सच के जगह पर ब्लाइंड फेथ, अंधविश्वास, झूठे, इस प्रकार के काम शुरू हो गया भारत में। तो आज इसी का नतीजा है चारों तरफ। इसलिए भारत में वापस बुद्ध के संदेश को लाना हम सबका कर्तव्य है। इसके लिए कुछ गिने चुने भिक्षु लोग से नहीं हो पाए, आप सब साथ देना, भिक्षुनी साथ साथ काम करना चाहिए। तो इसीलिए भारत ऐसा देश है, दुनिया को विश्व शांति के लिए एक संदेश दे सकते हैं आज भी। Without King Ashoka, we never received Buddha's teaching. It was already, yes, already. It was the King Ashoka. We must pay our homage to him, our gratitude. Such a great people. अगर सम्राट अशोक नहीं होते, बौद्ध धर्म का बचना नामुमकिन, कभी नहीं हो सकता। अगर सम्राट अशोक तीसरी संगीत नहीं करते, if he never called the third council, Buddhist council, with the guidance of Arahant Moggali Buddhism, we never find again, never discover Buddhism in this land or other countries. So we must think all these facts like great Samrat Ashok, Anagarika Dhammapal, the founder of Mahabodhi Society, and the Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. All these great people and great monks that time, Rahul Sanketya, Ananda Kaushalyan Bhante, Bhiksu Jagadish Kashyap, the first Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, now Nalanda University. उन्होंने किसी तरह बचाया बात में इन द 19th सेंचुरी, वापस लाया बौद्ध धर्म को। आज हम हैं, आप, हमारे भिक्खुनी संघ, ये हमारा कर्तव्य है। हमारा कर्तव्य है इस धर्म को मजबूत बनाना, इस धर्म को प्रचार प्रसार करना, लेकिन कुछ चीज याद रखना होगा। You must have some kind of understanding as a Buddhist missionary, bhikkhus or Buddhist missionary bhikkhunis. When you go out to teach the Buddha's teaching, don't think that you will meet everywhere the Buddhist community. This is first thing you must understand. When you go out from your monastery, everywhere you are welcome. No. Don't think that everywhere you will get flowers, offering flowers to you. No. Don't think that. You will rather receive reluctance and some kind of negative forces, you know. मारा है ना, मारा, हर जगह मारा मिलेंगे, जहां जाएंगे जो मारा है अटैक करेगा। So to defeat this mara, you must enrich your heart and mind with wisdom, with compassion. These two are very significant. Wisdom and compassion. Compassion and wisdom. Very significant. उस समय जो श्रीलंका में जो महामहिंद बनते ने गए, क्या लेके गए? छह बनते, हथियार लेके तो नहीं गए। थाईलैंड हथियार लेके नहीं गए। देश, न्यू कंट्री, न्यू कल्चर, तो क्या लेके गए? खाली हाथ, लेकिन भरे करुणा, मैत्री, प्रज्ञा से भरे दिल और मन। When these Indian monks traveled to Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, they never brought any kind of weapons to teach Dhamma, to bring the message, but they were full of compassion. They were full of wisdom. These two things are very important. We as monks and nuns, when we go to spread the message of Buddha, हमारे अंदर ये करुणा मैत्री हमेशा होना चाहिए। अगर आप रिएक्ट करेंगे, गुस्सा करेंगे, क्या होगा आपको? गुस्सा, reaction, action and reaction. This is the very fundamental rule, action and reaction. इसलिए हम लोग को बहुत कुछ सहन करना पड़ेगा, पेशेंस रखना पड़ेगा, जब बुद्ध के संदेश दुनिया को प्रचार प्रसार करने के लिए। इसलिए आज भिक्खुनी असेंबली, आपका दिन है, मैंने कुछ ज्यादा बोल दिया है, so please sorry for that. So आज का दिन भिक्खुनी संघ की दिन है, इसलिए मैं नहीं चाहते थे मैं कुछ बोलूं आज। मैंने बोला आप ही लोग करिए, आप ही लोग का संगठन है, तो हम लोग सिर्फ सपोर्ट करेंगे आप लोग को। दिस इज व्हाट वी डू, बट it is just to share with you good things, that this the first Bhikkhuni assembly as such. There was a small meetings in the past, but not as such, organized by the Bhikkhunis. So that is what I want to say this message to. This is organized totally by the Bhikkhunis. So don't feel that small minor mistakes here and there. This is a big no, nothing as such. The Buddha started the established with 5 monks, 5 arahant, Anagarika Dharmapada just alone. His mission. He was just alone. Nobody to support. One man. उनको कुछ भी नहीं पता भारत कौन मदद करेंगे, कौन उनको खाना देंगे, है या नहीं, अकेले। बाबा साहेब अम्बेडकर अकेले, कौन मदद कर रहे? इसलिए आपके पास 60 भिक्खुनियां हैं, हम लोग हैं, आप फिर भी क्यों ये कमजोर महसूस कर रहे हैं? नहीं करना चाहिए। You be proud. You have that confidence. Don't feel that kind of small minor things. Those are nothing, mind or matter. Just go to overcome all these things with your firm determination. I hope this Bhikkhuni assembly bring next few days, you have a peaceful time here. All our Bhikkhunis came far away from different countries. They have a lot of works. They are so busy in their countries and their activities. So they came all the way to here to support, especially with reference to the Indian Bhikkhunis, to support you. That's what. इसलिए आपके दायित्व है सभी इंडियन भिक्खुनीस हियर, आपके दायित्व है, आप इसको ज्यादा लाभ उठाए, you take maximum benefit from these senior most Bhikkhunis. Only few. In other Buddhist tradition, there are many other countries. You can go to the Vietnam, Taiwan, and South Korea, China, Japan. You will meet so many Bhikkhunis. They are well established and well organized in many countries. But in India, you need still support. So that is why they are here, to be with you, to show their support and their love and affection to you, to support Indian Bhikkhuni Sangha. So we, all these monks are here to support in future, as suggested in welcome speech by Sumangala Bhikkhuni. This must, I think, I also support and suggest the annual event may be organized in here. It's a good place. We can help you whatever in way, and even all the Bhikkhunis cannot come, but some Indian Bhikkhunis can take the leading part to organize many things. And there are young Bhikkhunis are here already. You become very much supportive to this Bhikkhuni Sangha. And with these few words, I once again thank you and congratulate. And I pray to Buddha Dhamma Sangha, may this your World Bhikkhuni Assembly be a successful one and most successful one. And these blessings go to the world and encourage Bhikkhuni Sangha, not only Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha, but even other traditions, Mahayana Bhikkhuni Sangha. we must work together. We must work together. Then only we can achieve the great goal that we already wished for. Thank you. May all the Bhikkhunis and all the audience of Bhikkhunis and others enjoy good health during this time period so that you can work better for the next few days. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for making my very peaceful. Now we would like to invite Keynote speech by
Good morning, respected Venerable D.C. Valley, the General Secretary of Mahabodhi Society of India, respected venerable members of the Mahasangha, the Mahathiri, and dear seminaries and friends. As the president of this conference and the secretary of UTSI, I would like to give the keynote address of this conference. And first of all, I would like to share my speech on the screen so that you can follow easily. So now can you see the screen of my paper there? Please connect. Not yet connect. I connect with this one. I sent the file already to him. Yes, so please open the file, keynote speech. So due to the time limitation, I will cut some part. But first of all, okay, Bente, yes. Okay, thank you, Bente. Yes, Bente. I'm deeply honored to speak today on the theme Bhikkhuni education in Asia. In a time when the Buddhist communities are navigating rapid social change, expanding global networks, and renewed attention to the role of women in the Sangha, the question of education becomes not only relevant but decisive. Education determines whether the Dhamma is merely remembered as heritage or preserved as a living path of liberation. In the Buddhist monastic context, education is never merely schooling. It is a comprehensive training of body, speech, and mind. It is the cultivation of sila, samadhi, and panya, supported by the three pillars of vinaya and dhamma. It is also preparation for the sacred responsibility of transmission, receiving the teachings with fidelity, embodying them through practice, and offering them to others with compassion and clarity. A classical framing often used in Theravada tradition describes Buddhist formation through three interwoven dimensions. Pariyatti means learning the teachings, Patipatti, practicing the teachings, and Patideta, realizing the teachings. This triad is not a linear ladder, but an organic ecology. Study informs practice, practice sharpens understanding, and realization brings humility, discernment, and skillful means back into both study and teaching. When this ecology is healthy, I have to admit, education becomes inefficient. Today, I would like to develop 4 claims. Bhikkhuni education is rooted in the earliest Buddhist community and is integral to the Buddha vision of a complete fourfold assembly. The early Bhikkhuni Sangha offers canonical models of learned and realized women teachers, especially visible in the Therigatha and Key Sutta dialogues. Modern Bhikkhuni must integrate Vinaya with pastoral competence and contemplative, why also in monastics or leadership, translation, pedagogy, and ethical engagement. The future of education requires attention to gender, resourcing, curriculum design, training courses, cross-tradition collaboration, and digital infrastructure without compromising the contemplative heart of monastic life. First, foundations. Bhikkhuni education in the Buddha's dispensation. The establishment of the Bhikkhuni Sangha begins with the aspirations of Mahapajapati Gotami, whose request for ordination is reserved in the Vinaya tradition. In the Chula, we find the narrative framework through which the Bhikkhuni Sangha is formally integrated into the monastic order. Regardless of how one interprets the historical layering of the Vinaya text, the canonical memory is clear. On one point, the Buddha's dispensation comes to maturity through the fourfold assembly, Chatuparisa, and the Bhikkhunis are not peripheral to this vision, but the constitutive of it. What does this mean for education? It means that the formation of the Bhikkhunis is not an add-on, not merely an accommodation for social expectations. It is part of the Dhamma's architecture for continuity. When Bhikkhunis are well trained, the Sangha gains. It gains additional custodians of Vinaya culture, additional transmitters of doctrine and meditation, additional exemplars of renunciation for future generations, and a fuller expression of the Buddha's liberating message, that awakening is accessible to all who practice rightly. Vinaya itself is a form of education. It is pedagogy by way of habit, restraint, communal accountability, and mindful attentiveness to small actions. The training rooms cultivate hiri ottappa, moral shame and moral dread, strengthen interpersonal harmony, and structure a daily life that repeatedly turns the mind toward mindfulness and wakefulness. In this sense, education is not only in the lecture halls. Education is also in how one walks, speaks, receives alms, relates to elders, resolves conflicts, and observes communal procedures. Moreover, the Vinaya contains explicit educational mechanisms, instruction, admonition, confession, rehabilitation, and communal decision-making. These processes are not punitive in intent, they are formative. They shape the monastic mind to value truthfulness, restraint, and harmony over ego and concealment. Thus, Bhikkhuni education begins with a simple but demanding proposition. The Dhamma is transmitted through disciplined lives. So I come to the second part, canonical models, learned and realized Bhikkhunis. If we ask whether the earliest tradition recognized women as capable of advanced learning and teaching, the answer is clear. The canon preserves multiple examples. Consider Dhammadinna Theri, whose dialogue in the Chula Vedanta Sutta exhibits not only doctrinal fluency, but pedagogical precision. She differentiates categories, clarifies definitions, and guides the listener from conceptual confusion to coherent understanding. The Buddha's endorsement of her answers affirms her authority as an interpreter of Dhamma. For education today, Dhammadinna is a model, a learned monastic teacher whose scholarship is not decorative but liberative, aimed at disentangling the mind. The Therigatha offers a different but equally vital model, the voice of realization expressed in language that is direct, embodied, and psychologically astute. When Mutta Theri sings of freedom from three things, she is not merely offering social critique, she is articulating the essential relief of a mind, release from bondage. When other elder nuns speak of aging, loss, desire, and awakening, they are teaching in a mode that today we might call phenomenological. They describe what the path feels like from the inside. For monastic education, this is crucial. A purely scholastic model risks producing knowing about without knowing through. The Therigatha insists education must culminate in transformation. We also find canonical memory of Bhikkhunis renowned for wisdom and meditative accomplishment, such as Khema and Upalavanna, whose reputations, even when transmitted through later narrative frames, function pedagogically. They present ideals of Panya and Samadhi as attainable for women renunciants. In these early models, we see an integrated educational vision, celestial understanding without rite, meditative depth without escapism, ethical discipline without rigidity, and teaching ability grounded in humility and compassion. This is the kind of education that is called in action. So I go to the third part, education in action, what it looks like today. In the contemporary world, Bhikkhuni education occurs under conditions very different from those of ancient India. Literacy is widespread, institutions exist, global travel and digital communication are normal, and monastic communities must navigate modern legal systems, media environments, and inter-religious pluralism. These changes bring both opportunity and risk. I propose that Bhikkhuni education in action today can be described through 4 competencies, each aligned with the classical triad of Patyati, Patipatti, and Pativeta, yet translated into modern reality. We call Vinaya competence, integrity, and communal culture. Vinaya competence is more than reciting rules. It is the ability to inhabit Vinaya as a culture, a way of being that makes the Sangha trustworthy. This includes fluency in procedures of confession and reconciliation, the training of juniors through kindness and clarity, skill in handling boundary issues with lay communities, and a stable monastic routine that protects the contemplative life. In context where Bhikkhunis communities are newly established or rapidly growing, Vinaya education is foundational. Venerable Analayo's detailed studies of the peak order emphasize how historical awareness and careful procedural attention support legitimacy, harmony, and confidence. The B part is textual linguistic competence, depth over display. In many regions, Bhikkhunis increasingly engage Pali, Sanskrit, Chinese, Tibetan, or modern academic languages. This is a profound opportunity. Language competence gives access to sources and protects the tradition from distortion. Yet, textual learning must be oriented toward practice. Education in action, when textual study clarifies meditation instructions, sharpens ethical discernment, and strengthens compassion. When scholarship becomes a performance of identity rather than a tool for liberation, it risks entangling the mind in subtle conceit. A balanced model might ask each student to sustain 3 streams of study. First, Vinaya, for conduct and communal health. Second, Sutta and Abhidhamma, or Sanskrit philosophy, for doctrinal clarity. And third, meditation manuals and lived traditions for practice guidance. The next part is contemplative competence, the heart of monastic education. No matter how excellent an institutional curriculum is, monastic education fails if it does not protect the contemplative life. Education in action means the Bhikkhunis is trained to meet suffering, her own and others, with mindfulness and wisdom, not with reactivity. She learns to recognize cravings in disguise, to handle praise and blame, to live simply, to train attention, and to cultivate loving kindness. In many traditions, the most authoritative teachers are not those with titles, but those whose presence stabilize others. This is not anti-intellectual. It is the completion of intellect through realization. Next part is pedagogical and leadership competence, teaching, translation, and care. In the modern world, Bhikkhunis often teach diverse audiences, monastics, lay adults, youth, diaspora communities, and interfaith groups. They also serve as translators, administrators, and counselors. This requires training in Dhamma pedagogy, how to structure teaching by level, ethical safeguarding, communals, and community leadership rooted in known self. Research and edited volumes associated with the Sakatita and scholars such as Kamalesesomo repeatedly show that women monastics often become educational anchors in their communities, particularly where they establish schools, retreats, or training programs for girls and women. Case studies. Bhikkhuni education across contemporary Buddhist worlds. To make education in action concrete, let us briefly consider several contemporary contexts, not to rank them, but to learn from their different strengths. First, Sri Lanka, revival and institutional training. Sri Lanka's modern Bhikkhuni revival has generated renewed education pathways for women renunciants. While complex debates have existed around ordination and recognition, the educational outcome has often become constructive. Training institutes, study programs, and greater visibility for women monastics as teachers. Scholars documenting Sri Lankan nuns highlight both the struggles and the resilience through which educational structures gradually mature. The second case study is Taiwan and East Asia. Strong monastic education ecosystem. In Taiwanese and broader East Asian context, Bhikkhuni communities have developed robust educational infrastructures. They have monastic colleges, disciplined study routine, and strong administrative capacity. Many Bhikkhunis are academically trained and engaged in social service projects such as hospitals, universities, and disaster relief. This shows one possible model of education in action, scholarship, and service grounded in monastic discipline. The third case is Vietnam, integrated training, language, and community service. In Vietnam, Bhikkhuni education often integrates doctrinal study with liturgical training, meditation retreats, and community education. Increasing engagement with Pali studies, Buddhist universities, and international academic dialogue can strengthen the textual and research foundations of Bhikkhuni leadership, especially if paired with contemplative depth and Vinaya culture. Global networks, Sakatita and beyond. Networks such as Sakatita International Association of Buddhist Women have created spaces for Bhikkhunis and scholars to share resources, develop research, and support women's monastic education across traditions. This global dimension matters because education now happens not only locally, but transnationally. Curricular, translations, and institutional models circulate quickly. These case studies point to a key insight. There is no single model. Yet every viable model shares common features: Vinaya integrity, contemplative seriousness, textual literacy, and a compassionate outward orientation. Now we come to the risk when education loses the Dharma. If education is so vital, why do monastic communities sometimes feel tension around it? Because education can drift into distortions. Credentialism. Some seeking degrees without deepening renunciation. Or fragmentation, separating study from meditation, or meditation from ethics. Or cultural imitation, importing institutional forms without adapting to local Vinaya and social realities. Or power dynamics, using learning as status rather than service. A truly Buddhist educational vision must repeatedly return to the question, does this training reduce greed, hatred, and delusion? If the answer is unclear, adjustment is needed. Now we come to an action agenda, building Bhikkhuni education that endures. Let me propose a practical agenda, education in action, as an institutional part. 1. Curriculum blueprint, 4 pillars. A sustainable Bhikkhuni curriculum can rest on 4 pillars. First, Vinaya and communal procedures. 2, core Dhamma, suttas and doctrinal frameworks. 3, meditation training with retreat cycles. And 4, the teaching and leadership formation. Each pillar should have assessment not only by exams, but also by observed conduct, service, and meditation commitment. Teacher formation, training the trainers. A community becomes stable when it can produce its own educators, Vinaya instructors, meditation mentors, language teachers, and Dhamma preachers. Teacher formation requires mentorship, peer review, and humility. The teacher's authority rests on integrity more than charisma. And we also need resource ecosystem, libraries, translations, and scholarships. Access to test and learning tools is an equity issue. Investment in libraries, physical and digital matters. Translation projects matter. Scholarships matter. This is not worldly ambition. It is a support for the continuity of the Dhamma. Cross-tradition collaboration without confusion. Collaboration across Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana contexts can be fruitful when it is done with clarity, learning from one another's educational strengths while preserving one's own Vinaya commitments. Scholarly discussions on ordination histories and procedures show both the complexity and the possibility of respectful cooperation. We also need digital monastic education. Digital tools can amplify access, like online classes, recorded lectures, searchable Pali database, and global seminars. Yet, the digital environment also carries risks of distraction and public persona formation. Digital education must be guided by monastic discipline, technology as servant, not master. So I come to the closing. The ancient mission renewed. In the Vinaya, we find the Buddha's call to his disciples to work for the welfare of many. Charata Bhikkhave, Charikam, Bahuchana Hitaya, Bahuchana Sukhaya, Lokanupa Kampaya. Go forth, O monks, for the welfare of the many, for the happiness of the many, out of compassion for the world. Why this injunction is addressed to bhikkhus in the narrative frame? Its spirit expresses the mission of the entire Sangha. In our era, Bhikkhunis carry this mission as well through teaching, training, scholarship, meditation, and compassionate presence. Therefore, Bhikkhuni education in action is not merely an agenda for institutional development. It is a commitment to the integrity of the Dhamma's transmission. When education is rooted in Vinaya, illuminated by study, completed through meditative realization, and expressed in compassionate service, it becomes a force for liberation, not only for individuals, but for communities and cultures. May our efforts to strengthen Bhikkhuni education be guided by humility, wisdom, and compassion. May the Bhikkhuni Sangha flourish as a field of practice and a lamp of the Dhamma for the generations to come. Thank you very much for your listening.
With deep respect, we want to express appreciation to the growth and all mistakes with whom can participate in this, The judicial grounds of religion and universal teachers, Ayasante Mahathiri of Indonesia. From 2014 to 2023, she advises short-term sufferings to go on for food, including for Cambodian sufferings to solve. She has assisted more than 50 Buddhists in her congregation in Thailand. Currently, she serves as the MS and is president of Alia Vihara Missionary and is an advisor of Contemplative Vihara Society in Malaysia. Venerable Mangala Devi is actively involved in conducting meditation retreats and giving Dhamma talks in various and sharing her understanding and experience in the Dharma with others. This is one of the different of 23 anniversary of 21 awards of WPA 2024 in honor of the United Nations International Women's Day. Provide invite all right, thank you, Santi. Again, a very good morning to all our Bhikkhu Sangha, Bhikkhuni Sangha, and all the Dhamma brothers and sisters. Now we're going to begin our first panel session for the paper presentation. And today we're going to have two presentations due to the time. Anyway, it's just nice for the two presenters who are present here. Let me introduce our first presenter is Venerable Bhikkhuni Dhamma from Thailand. She will be presenting the topic From Roots to Resilience, a New Era of Bhikkhuni Education in Thailand. And I'll let me introduce our credentials and also work in the Dhamma in Thailand, as well as the contribution there to Bhikkhuni Sangha in the world. Venerable Bhikkhuni Dhamma is the founding elders of Vija Bhikkhuni Dharma and the Vija Vipassana Foundation. With over 40 years of meditation experience, she received Dhamma Vinaya training under Venerable Sadhusumana from Sri Lanka and to monastic life in Sri Lanka too. Deeply versed in the Tipitaka and Abhidhamma, she holds an MA in architecture from the University of Illinois of Chicago, uniquely applying structural design to monastic education. Her current work, the development framework of the Dhamma Vinaya curriculum for seminaries, Sikha Manas, and Bhikkhunis in Thailand, synthesizes a vast experience and scriptural research into a standardized educational framework for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So now we would like to invite Venerable Dhamma Vijayani Harry to present a paper. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Morning. Good morning, Venerable Monteiro, Monterey, Venerable Sisters, and all distinguished guests. It is truly an honor to be here today amongst so many who share a vision for Bhikkhuni Sangha. Today, I'd like to walk you through something we've been quietly building as a current project called Converge to Resilient, a new era of Bhikkhuni education in Thailand. It's not just a curriculum, it's a commitment. This project began in October last year, but the real turning point in September, when nearly 100 female monastic gathered together at a seminar organized by General and what came out of that gathering was a clear shared message. We need a unified Vinaya curriculum. The need to transform localized education to a unified Sangha framework. One that ensures that sacred knowledge is passed on consistently and meaningfully to the next generation. That's where we started. So our mission is really about bridging two things, our Theravada roots and the resilient futures. We want to maintain the purity of the Pali Canon and the goal to liberation. That's non-negotiable. But we also want to evolve to meet the realities of this era. Most importantly, we want to reclaim the Vinaya that rightly belongs to Bhikkhuni. So not to mention the opposition of Thai Sangha Council, distorted discourses surrounding Bhikkhuni. Our mainstream Buddhist educational system has relied heavily on road liberalization, and access to international academic resources has been nearly impossible for most Thai monastics. As a result, the Bhikkhuni Vinaya has faded into silence. But our real challenge is we have no long-standing living lineage. Thai Bhikkhuni Sangha has started around 2 decades ago, and the majority of Thai Bhikkhunis are in late 40s to 60s, who are Catholic oriented. The Buddha described the life of going forward as a wide open path, free from obstruction, and a complete monastic life requires both practice and catering, or variety and wisdom. In terms of spiritual practice, Thai Bhikkhunis are fortunate. Access to many realized masters has never been out of reach. But what has been missing for Thai Bhikkhunis is the theory or learning. So by restoring that missing path, we make the path whole again, and open and unobstructed as the Buddha once described. Because we have chosen this life and we deserve to walk in glory. So this brings us to our core objective, intellectual empowerment. Moving from traditions built on memorization and strict adherence to form, toward a more contemporary approach. That transition requires a real shift in how we think and learn. So we built this empowerment around three things: to cultivate understanding, to enhance analysis, and to facilitate sympathy. To cultivate understanding, we are establishing a unified standard of knowledge, drawing carefully from the Tipitaka and Antattaka, and organizing the curriculum into clear, progressive stages so that study is truly centered on understanding. To enhance analysis, we are broadening our perspective by introducing comparative readings across different Buddhist canons, giving students a richer basis for critical thinking. And to facilitate synthesis, we are drawing on the intellectual strengths of various Bhikkhuni Sanghas to deepen our capacity to integrate and apply what we learn. Our strategic objectives have been translated into 3 levels teaching program. The first one, foundational level. It is to build a stable foundation to stand firm and progress with unwavering strength. The intermediate level is to grasp the true essence of the rules and enable a masterful synthesis and application on the Vinaya within modern context. The third one, advanced level, a step toward the future, where Bhikkhunis are not only well-versed in scripture, but are also vigilant leaders of the faith. I'd like to elaborate a bit on each one point. The foundational level, it requires 12 hours, and it is open to all female monastics, from seminaries to Bhikkhunis. We've selected suttas related to monastic life, such as Vietnamese, and also selected specifically from the whole section of Bhikkhuni Khandaka and made them genuinely accessible without losing their depth. But we're doing more than just simplifying. We are transforming how we learn. While moving away from traditional passive lectures, but empower our students through self-study and personal discovery of the inherent Vinaya for themselves. We also open a new door to comparative studies of Bhikkhuni Khandaka between the Theravada and the traditions, contrasting the monks' narrative on Bhikkhuni with the original scriptures from both traditions. And alongside all of that, we draw on our most valuable resource of all, the lived experiences of our senior Bhikkhunis. The goal is just academic knowledge, it's empowerment. A genuine sense of confidence and dignity in one's monastic life. We're excited to share that this curriculum will officially launch this August in Sangha Monastery, our Venerable Gaudiya's monastery. Intermediate level. This level is designed for those who have already completed the foundational level. At this level, our core materials are the Bhajaloka and all sections of Khandaka, and comparative studies of Bhajaloka across the 6 traditions. This is the dissertation of Venerable Gaudiya. Many years ago, it's very valuable, and I told her that we have to present it once again for the next generation. And this is a comprehensive picture of how the Vinaya actually functions as a practical framework for monastic life. We also draw on commentary to help students clearly distinguish between primary and secondary sources. From there, we move into deeper analysis to understand not just what the rules say, but why they exist and what they were truly meant to achieve. Without wisdom to navigate change, even the deepest knowledge of Vinaya becomes meaningless. ultimately, it's about being able to apply that understanding skillfully in a modern context. Advanced level. The final stage is about mastery and sustainability of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. There are three core components. Procedural excellence. This is all knowledge of Sangha and Nidana, such as Sima and concentration, types of Sangha and Nidana. And students also receive a comprehensive handbook of Dhammaja and Nidana from the digital. The second one, holistic integration. Forming up the monastic discipline to the inner states of mind and technical precision. It includes Pali terminology and ancient measurements with clear comparisons to modern standards. We truly believe that students who complete all three levels have shown the spiritual depth and the resilience needed to lead and sustain the lineage for generations to come. Now it's very important. One of the strands of other traditions can be found from the research. This very TPSI platform, the most important opportunity for us bring those lived experiences directly into the room to validate the curriculum that reflects not just our vision, but our collective hope. And we're going to have a workshop session this afternoon. Everyone are invited to create this curriculum together. To build a self-sustained Bhikkhuni Sangha is to give life to a legacy that can weather any storm. When the missing path or yati is revived, intelligence deepens into wisdom. The barriers that once blocked the path to liberation for the Bhikkhunis can finally be cleared, restoring the wide open path that the Buddha himself once paved for all monastics. Sambhato Brahmaso, Vratapato, Abodhaso, Bhavajna. Cosmic life is crowded and dusty, but the light of going forth is wide open. Thank you. Thank you, Ramajani, for presentation on the importance of creating proper curriculum for Bhikkhuni education. So in today's modern world, we have this very good access to Dhammavinaya. And I think it's the same spirit in Thailand that we know when Mahaprabhu had to walk 300 kilometers to the Sali to be ordained. The Thai Bhikkhuni have to fly to Sri Lanka, thousands of kilometers to be ordained and to bring this tradition back to the. And now, of course, we hear from her the development of education and proper education to suit our modern training. So thank you. For questions, you can write down first. Later, we will open for question and answer if you have any questions. All right, now we proceed to the second statement. For the second talk will be presented by Venerable Vipassita Bhikkhuni. The name is Kwana. So Bhikkhuni Vipassita was born in 1981 in Quang Nam, Vietnam. You can see she's younger than all of us. probably in her 30s, yeah. And she began her monastic journey in November 2017 at the Nunnery in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And in November 2022, she received a higher NA at Nama Bihar, India, and academic interests focused on early Buddhist texts and the preservation of the Pali language within the Theravada tradition. So without further ado, we'd like to invite Venerable Vietnamese Chita Bhikkhuni to present her paper. This spread is venerable basically general secretary of the Mahabodhi Society. Respected Mahabodhi and general heads of the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International. Respected Bhikkhu Sakra, Bhikkhuni Sakra, and dear Dhamma friends. It is a pleasure for me to be here today. I would like to sincerely thank the organizing committee for giving the opportunity to participate in the World Bhikkhuni Sangha Assembly 2026 to present my paper. This is my first time presenting at a conference. There are these shortcomings that sincerely explore your understanding and talents. The title my rules to realization. The Vinayar as a living pedagogical framework for Bhikkhuni education. Therefore, of content because introduction. The concept purely based in Bhikkhuni training model areas. The three pillars of development, ethical literacy, communal character formation. The Vinaya must grow in progress, mentorship, nisaya, reflective correction, communal correction, proposal, strong strategies and innovations of 20th century, global context, modern organization, final law. The final conclusion, the living Vinaya. Introduction, repeating Vinaya. Understanding Vinaya as an English educational framework for Vietnamese. The Vinaya is often misunderstood as a set of British prohibition. Instead, it serves as a dynamic pedagogical framework that nurtures mindfulness, ethical sensitivity, and harmony within the domestic community. rather than external control, Vinaya shall character from within through awareness of body, speech, intention, and relationships. Discipline becomes a living practice, fostering restraint, clarity, and compassion. Therefore, the Vinaya is best understood not as a individual thought, but as a certain curriculum of embodies Dharma practice that train and improve person. The Vinaya as a living model and education, a model formation. Vinaya transcends deeper boundaries, serving as a comprehensive framework of human development, fostering ethical growth, social awareness, and personal maturity within the monastic community. Cultivating inner maturity through its structure, guideline, Vinaya, neutral ethical awareness, and social intelligence, promoting interpersonal relationships that cultivate patience, empathy, and a deep sense of community among practitioners. Three learning pillars. This framework can be understood through three learning pillars. The first, ethical literacy, see that part. The second, communal intelligence, life. The first, character formation through practice. Vinaya therefore is not regulation but activation. Ethical literacy, silence, learning the language action, learning tools. Ethical literacy is the first pillar of Vinaya pedagogy. Just as literacy in modern education means understanding meaning and achievements, not merely reading books. The Vinaya trains the Bhikkhuni read action with awareness. Its training was Sikarbala, serve as a valuable learning tools to foster understanding rather than mere domain, emphasizing the importance of internet ethical awareness, social reflection. The practical recitation through branch structure ethical reflection, encouraging practitioners to engage deeply with the conduct, reinforcing moral value and fostering a sense of accountability. Practitioners develop healing and moral conscience and moral caution. Ethical behavior gradually become internalized character of prayer and punishment. Ethical literally is Vinaya is not mere following but sustained awareness training that reshapes perception itself. Communal intelligence education through innovation. Education in community. Sangha, bless is the unity of the Sangha, blessed artists, those who is harmony, Dhammapada, Training within the community foster interpersonal skills, encouraging practitioners to develop patience and human and ability to share experience and collaborate learning, enhancing social cohesion and harmony. Sangha Karma procedures. Sangha Karma procedure promote effective communication and sensory building. Allowing practitioners to engage in dialogue and resolve conflicts, cultivating a sense of belonging and unity within the community. Beyond this harmony structure, the operation within the Sangha. Bhikkhuni learn present community, empathy, and careful speech. Vinaya develop communal intelligence, the ability to live and practice wisely together. Formation through repetition. Discipline and habit training. Daily routines. The third dimension of Vinaya, pedagogy, listening, repetition, modern psychology affirm the character becomes through habits, and the Vinaya is structured on this principle. Daily routine and temperature, consistent and ethical conduct, promoting mindfulness and discipline, allowing practitioners to internet value through regular practice. Rules, active. Second aspect rules, compassion, practice, and communal recitation established steady rhythm of study. All the time, this practice shape culture, speech, eating habits, and pattern of interaction. The inner mechanical control was embodying education through repetition. Mindfulness serves through structure, the mind can clarify through respect, channeling freedom become possible. The Vinaya serve as a scarecrow for awakening, affording eternal strength until inner stability and mature. Even Eventually, discipline is no longer felt as restriction, but expressed naturally as wisdom. The Vinaya function as the rich curriculum of character formation through lived practice. Mental knowledge, the Vinaya classroom. How does Vinaya actually advocate in this monastic life? The monastery serves as a dynamic classroom. Daily activities at the education this career mentorship shapes identity through structure, guidance, accountability foster communal structure and moral courage. Promotes ethical expression, growth into integrity and discipline. Shaping the mission of education within the framework of specific Vinaya procedures are interpreted and deliberate pedagogical practical monastic across build a structured learning technology. Identity formation, establishing a stable monastic identity through structure, mentorship, and ethical awareness. Inviting understanding of ethical principles and their application in life. Relational maturity, developing interpersonal skills and emotional intelligence within the monastic community. The spiritual stability, fostering resilience and growth through consistent practice and reflection. Leadership capacity, equipping individual with skill to rise and support others in their journey. This at the end of the when is just honest is invite present rather if you have seen here or select this probably me speaking. A vision is legal function of how special is described as evolutionary pedagogical tool that encourage radical regularity and openness. Honest self-reflection, communal trust, and friendship that in the context of global community, Bhagavata as a structural ways through more constructive feedback and dialogue, helping to resolve conflicts rather than avoiding them. Global studying involve regular ethical regulation Preparing the technicals, the course is shared ethical standing and standard share examination practitioner review intention, speech, and actions, acknowledgement of approach, and general community. Learning authorities learning accompanied sustained ethical awareness and communal stability. Integration, Visaya Avana proposed challenges and innovation projects all the real as we are today need for learning and discipline and process. The local trend and the Vietnamese structure, environmental responsibility and the project of conduct. Adaptive stability, the measure of tempo in innovation. Digital learning, digital tool on building language and Vinaya response. Global exchange, Vinaya exchange structure, connecting tradition, course structure, environmental responsibility in workplace, micro consumption, resource use, practice for education, adaptive stability, restraint, harmony, accountability, direction. Conclusion, the Vinaya and the living application model for Bhikkhuni practice. For Bhikkhuni practice in 2026 and beyond, the issue is not prevalent, but involvement in the world of digital separation and cultural complexity. The list for ethical stability is greatly Video Sama Sakya discipline is the line used at the dispensation. Thank you for your listening.
Right, we rejoice with the Member of the Spirit here. As she said, this is the first time, and I can see that the young generation is very advanced representation with very nice background and everything. Yeah? And also another thing that we can understand that to learn from a different language, yeah, it takes a lot of effort, and I comment effort of presenting it in English, although it's very challenging. Yeah, the fact she make it, and I think we should rejoice with that. And I think this is a good platform for our young people, yeah, to come up, to be trained, and to also have the courage to want to train themselves and to share, right? So in the interest of time, we thank because whenever Susi just now was indicating, I think the children are ready to offer in Pada. So with the interest of time, maybe we can take the question in the afternoon when we have another session with the Bhikkhuni. Then we can answer the question in that time, right? So with that, we thank both panelists for their shared presentation, and one from Thailand and one from Vietnam. And both are looking at how the Vinaya that we are talking about there is living out for a renunciation. Yeah? And this incorporation of renunciation incorporates the way of good conduct, pure conduct. And we hope that the curriculum that comes up, we can teach all the theory, but in reality, the practice is important. The Buddha mentioned that learning without practice is of no use. So it's learning by practicing, then realization, the fruit of liberation will unfold gradually, and hopefully finally. With that, thank you all for your attention, and we conclude our first panel session now. Thank you.
वो भी पहला चैनल खत्म हुआ है। अभी हम लोग सभी के पाठ के लिए जाएंगे और पहले पाठ के दर्शक ऊपर भोजन के लिए जाएंगे। We start at 1 o'clock. Next panel 1 o'clock. 1 बजे दोबारा से हम लोग आना है। Second panel discussion 1 बजे।
Now we will invite everyone to receive a offering from Mahabodhi Society school children, and they kindly also come to make this offering to associate with the Sangha and to rejoice. So for the Bhikkhunis, you may actually please collect your bowl, and then in your senior region, they might
Okay, everyone. Now we have lunch time. So we will meet you after lunch at 1 p.m. with the panel discussion number 2. तो आप सभी को अभी लंच टाइम क्योंकि हो गया है, तो अभी हम लोग खत्म कर रहे हैं और इसके पश्चात में 1 बजे हम लोग फिर से दूसरा पैनल शुरू करेंगे। हम लोग अगले सेशन में पिक्चर क्वालिटी, वीडियो क्वालिटी और ऑडियो क्वालिटी को हम लोग इम्प्रूव करने का प्रयास करेंगे। वी विल ट्राई आवर बेस्ट to improve the picture quality and the video quality in the next session, and audio quality also.